Hi Sagittarius, welcome to your week ahead taroscope with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick note, these are for your sun, moon and ascendant sign. Watch them for all three so that you know which part of you I resonate with most as a reader. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance, and I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise. They help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So if you are a continued subby, you know Rafi loves you, and if you're new to my channel, please don't forget to like, share, and if you should so choose and it resonates, hit the subscribe button. For your key to the week this week, you have the Chariot card. Okay, so first things first, this is going to be a quick, fast, dynamic week. All right, so buckle up because it's going to get quickie. Now, with that said, remember with the Chariot card, this is victory and success. So whatever you're working on or towards this week, especially if it's stuff that you can finish or complete this week, it puts you in a really good position because it means that the outcome is successful. You've had to work hard for this, right? It's not like it's just come easy to you or for you. So you have put a lot of graft into it, but the end or the end or the finish line or the whatever the case might be is at the, like, you can see it, right? It's so close that you can see or touch or taste it. Now, I will say this is, I mean, the week itself is going to be really fast anyway. So try to take it at a pace so that you can course correct wherever and however you need to. And remember as well, sometimes the greatest victories and successes that we have are the victories that we have over ourselves. All right. So in your actions and options, you got the Five of Pentacles. How can you be successfully broke, Raph? I can hear a lot of you saying, right? Well, the Chariot card, forget the loss of money and all the rest of it. The Five of Pentacles, one of the deeper meanings of this card, or one of the deeper tags of this card, is that help will always, Albus Dumbledore, baby, help will always be available for those who ask for it. The Chariot card, literally coupled with the Five of Pentacles this week, you could be actually actively asking for help. That in itself is sometimes the most adult thing to do, right? Is to say, I don't know, I don't have an answer, I need help, right? Not only that, it humanizes you when you constantly have to have an answer for everything and you never say, like, I don't know. You put an immense amount of pressure on yourself and it's such a waste of time and energy. This is coming from me, right? And I can tell you, like, oh my gosh, 2023 was a really hard year for me, right? Now, many of you know I've just lost my grandmother, and that was really hard. It was very, it was a very painful experience, but 2023 was a really hard year for me. I learned a lot of life lessons, personal lessons. My health really suffered, and there were points at which where I just refused, right? I wouldn't reach out, I wouldn't ask for help or whatever. And as I'm talking about this, it's 11:11 right now, right? So I know we're onto a thread here. And when I actually started to reach out and ask for help, and and at that point I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to go back to therapy as well, and I did that, and all of these things combined really, really helped me a lot. And this week, my dear Saggies, it looks like you're getting out of your own way, which is fantastic, to say, I actually need some help. That's you conquering or overcoming or being victorious over that part of yourself that says you have to do everything on your own. You don't. For your communications and conversations, you've got the Four of Cups. This is very interesting because the Four of Cups has come up a lot this week for communications, which means on the wider world stage, we're likely to see a communication breakdown of some sort, and potentially there's going to be some kind of confusion over something that's put through. It's going to be one of those like, oh, this person says this, right? And then actually when you read about what they really did say, or like they come forward and say like, actually, that's not what I said at all. What I said was this. There's going to be like a great misconstrued energy in the ether this week, so that'll be interesting on the wider world stage. On a more personal level, that Four of Cups, there is potentially some disillusionment here, right? And maybe this is with yourself. And I will say this week, do check in with your internal dialogue, right? If for the first time in a long time, or maybe even ever, you're reaching out for help and then you're giving yourself an absolute sort of shafting for it internally, like, oh, look at you, you're weak, you asked for help, like, what does that say about you? If you're doing all of that, that's worse, right? So make sure you really check your internal dialogue this week. It's really important to check in with yourself. When it comes to your those of you that are studying or in some form of academia, there could be a miscommunication around the resources around your studies at this time. And if you're not sure about something, my advice would be to literally ask, because the chances are it's probably not just you, right? Now, obviously, as many of you know, I teach tarot. And one thing that I, actively try to encourage in my students is to ask questions. One, it's how we learn, how we grow. Two, if you ask a question, right? Everyone says that, what I always say to them is this: the only stupid question is the one that you don't ask, right? Like, literally, because otherwise, how are you going to learn? And the other part of this is 9 times out of 10, the question that you ask, somebody else was wanting to ask but didn't have the guts to do it. All right. So this week, when it comes to those of you that are studying, when it comes to the resources around this, if there's something that you don't understand, don't just stay silent, because it's going to take a lot longer to fix if you leave it. All right. Rectify it now. For those of you that are employed by somebody else, this week there's you coming through, right? Like, in work, even with everything else that you've got sort of going on a personal level, you are coming through in some way, shape or form. You are like standing up to be counted. And, you might feel at a low ebb, but it's like, you know what, even still, I have to get this done. There's something where you're deciding to push past or push through. For those of you that are business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, people that work for themselves, this could be a conversation that you have with a client this week around what is possible and what isn't. So I wouldn't be surprised if you have a client sort of say to you this week, or somebody that you work with, or a customer, etc., like, and they say to you, well, I'm not going to be able to pay for this anymore. And, because it's money and everybody gets, sort of a bit wary about those kinds of things. Don't sell yourself short just because you're worried you won't be able to replace this client, because you absolutely will. And, if you honor yourself enough to do that, the victory and the success that you crave will come for it. All right. Now, for those of you that are retired and no longer working, the 4 of Cups and the 5 of Pentacles, when it comes to your own physical health and asking for help and support, especially if you're, finding it harder to be sort of mobile and stuff at this minute in time, it's not always going to be the case, but like, really don't put yourself out, because remember, with the Chariot card, right, this can lead to the Tower. You've already got the 5 of Pentacles. This is not the week to be stubborn and say like, no, I can do it myself, because this is that week where, touch wood, slips, trips, falls, bumps, bruises, knocks, all of that stuff can happen, and it can actually be avoided by simply asking for frickin' help. All right. For your love and relations, you've got the 9 of Wands. In this deck, this is actually a victory card. So for those of you that are partnered, married, or in long-term commitments, especially if you've had problems or issues within the relationship, this week you can have some really, not maybe good news, but you could definitely make a breakthrough with your significant other. With that 5 of Pentacles as well, this may even be that a partner wants to look after you or take care of you while you are in some way incapacitated, or maybe even a family member or whatever. Accept help. That's going to be the tagline of this video. Like, accept help. Like, that's the only way really I can say it. If you are single, it's possible that you could be meeting or connecting with somebody who's been through a challenging time of it themselves, and is like a really strong sense of kinship. There's like a really strong sense of what's the word? Kinship is not the right word, like camaraderie. So it might not necessarily be like a relationship per se, but there's definitely like a companionship element to this that I think could be really nice. For your money and materials, you've got the Five of Pentacles. Saggies, it's not an easy week, all right? I just got to tell you straight up, right? Look at the cards. It's not an easy week, but still, more progress is being made this week than maybe you realize. You've got the Chariot with the Devil card. Watch out for overspending here, especially on vices, right? Things that are maybe not necessarily good for you, or things that, you know, maybe you just buy this now because it's a habit, right? You don't really sort of stop to think about what the implications are, or, you know, whether it's a waste of money or not. When it comes to your physical health and vitality, yeah, you know, your whatever your vices are, they could be getting the better of you this week. So please be careful. And then when it comes to your home and environment, this is potentially something that's happening around. This seems to be happening a lot. This last week and this week, there seems to be a lot of stuff that's happening outside of people's homes, but not necessarily to them. Like, if you've been with me long enough, you know, I don't know how, I don't know why, but I am like the unluckiest person when it comes to, like, wherever I move, guaranteed within the year, 2 years that I spend there, guaranteed there will be some sort of roadworks outside. It's insane. Like, I literally have no idea how that is even fucking possible, right? But for some reason it happens. This looks like some shit's going to kick off in your vicinity, and it's likely to have something to do with cars and or vehicles. Maybe there's a string of car or vehicle thefts, etc. in your local area. It's possible that there's something like that going on. Just keep your wits about you, certainly over the course of this week. But it'd be interesting to hear from you guys in the comments, so you can tell me sort of how it does play out. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Take care, and I'll see you soon.